September 4th, 1882, 8:47 in the morning. Llanymynech National School, standing precisely on the border between Shropshire, England, and Montgomeryshire, Wales. Headmaster Thomas Davies stood in the doorway of his schoolroom, attendance ledger in hand, watching 63 children file past him into two separate lines. Each child knew exactly where to stand. The children who spoke Welsh at home moved left. The children who spoke English at home moved right. Davies opened two different registers, one marked English Department, one marked Welsh Department, and began recording attendance in both. Same building, same teacher, same classroom. Two completely separate official records of who was present that morning. This wasn't an accident of administration. This was policy. Thomas Davies, 41 years old, had been navigating the system for 7 years. Born in Llansilin, educated in Welsh and English, certified by the British and Foreign School Society in 1869. He understood something that London bureaucrats did not. Language in the Welsh borderlands wasn't a simple binary. It was terrain as complex as the physical border itself, and the children sitting in his classroom lived in both worlds simultaneously. The border parishes, Llanymynech, Oswestry, Llansilin, Chirk, Rwybon, Gresford, occupied a unique administrative space. These communities straddled the England-Wales border, sometimes with the actual boundary line running through churches, through graveyards, through single buildings. The border bisected Llanymynech so precisely that the Lion Hotel had its bar in England and its lounge in Wales, operating under two different licensing laws. This geographic peculiarity created a linguistic peculiarity. Communities where Welsh and English existed not as competing languages, but as parallel daily realities. The Education Act of 1870 had established compulsory elementary education across England and Wales. The Act required detailed attendance records, performance metrics, and funding calculations. What it did not anticipate was how to categorize children who lived linguistically doubled lives. Children who prayed in Welsh at chapel on Sunday, negotiated prices in English at Oswestry Market on Monday, sang Welsh folk songs, time equals 250 milliseconds greater than while herding sheep on Tuesday, and read English primers at school on Wednesday. The school boards in the border parishes developed a solution that seemed rational to them. Maintain two registers. Classify each child by home language. Track attendance and academic progress separately. Report statistics to two different government departments, the Welsh Education Department and the English Education Department, depending on which register the child appeared in. The system created parallel paper trails for children who often sat at the same desk. The registers themselves revealed the methodology. In Llanymynech's English Register for 1882, entry 47, Margaret Roberts, age 9, daughter of John Roberts, farmer, Pant, admitted September 1880, English-speaking home. In the Welsh Register, entry 31, Catherine Roberts, age 7, sister of Margaret Roberts, same address, admitted September 1882, Welsh-speaking child. Same family, same farm, same household, two different linguistic classifications, two different registers. The classification decision fell to the headmaster, based on three criteria established by the Montgomeryshire School Board in 1875. Which language did the child speak first? Which language did the parents use when addressing the child at home? Which language did the child use when speaking to siblings? These questions determined not just administrative record-keeping, but funding allocation, because government grants depended on attendance figures, and attendance figures were calculated separately for English department students and Welsh department students. The system created immediate practical problems. Thomas Davies kept 4 separate logbooks: English Attendance Register, Welsh Attendance Register, English Academic Progress Log, Welsh Academic Progress Log. When Her Majesty's Inspector visited for the annual examination in June 1883, Davies had to present students from both registers, demonstrate proficiency in both languages of instruction, and justify why certain children from Welsh-speaking homes showed better English grammar than children from English-speaking homes. The inspector's report noted, "Unusual administrative complexity. Recommend consolidation." But consolidation meant choice. It meant declaring the school either English or Welsh. It meant half the children would be learning in their second language. The border parishes refused. Davies taught reading using parallel texts, English primers in the morning, Welsh readers in the afternoon. Geography lessons referenced both Shropshire and Montgomeryshire landmarks. History covered both English kings and Welsh princes. Arithmetic problems used both pound sterling and traditional Welsh measurements. He was training children to code switch, to move between linguistic worlds, because that was the economic and social reality they would navigate as adults. The Welsh register entries often included notations that the English register did not, Tybwymow dialect, Tanat Valley Welsh, Severn Valley speech patterns. These notes acknowledged that Welsh itself wasn't uniform in the borderlands. The Welsh spoken in Llanymynech differed from the Welsh spoken 15 miles west in Llansilin, which differed from the Welsh spoken in Bala 30 miles northwest. Davies was tracking not just language, but regional linguistic variation. The separate registers also tracked something else, language shift within families. The Roberts family from Pant Farm demonstrated the pattern. The father, John Roberts, time equals 250 milliseconds / age 47 in 1882, spoke only Welsh. His wife, Anne, age 44, was bilingual. Their oldest daughter, Margaret, age 9, appeared in the English register. Their middle daughter, Catherine, age 7, appeared in the Welsh register. Their youngest son, David, age 5, not yet school age, would likely enter the English register in 1884. 3 siblings, 3 different linguistic classifications, showing the generational transition from Welsh monolingualism to English dominance within a single household over 15 years. This transition was accelerating. In 1870, Llanymynech School enrolled 71 students, 58 in the Welsh register, 13 in the English register. By 1885, enrollment had grown to 89 students, 42 in the Welsh register, 47 in the English register. The crossover point arrived in 1886 when English register students outnumbered Welsh register students for the first time. Davies recorded the shift without commentary in his annual report, but the numbers told the story. The registers documented the mechanism of language death in real time. Each September, new students entered the English register, while their older siblings remained in the Welsh register. Families were making calculated decisions about their children's economic futures. English was the language of railway employment, of commercial transactions beyond the immediate parish, of government administration, of social mobility. Welsh was the language of home, of chapel, of local community, of cultural identity, but increasingly not the language of advancement. The system existed in other border parishes with local variations. Oswestry maintained separate registers for English National School and Welsh National School in the same building, with students physically separated during lessons. Chirk divided students by age rather than language, but tracked home language in both registers. Llansilin created a third category, bilingual register for children who used both languages equally at home, a recognition that binary classification failed to capture linguistic reality. Her Majesty's inspectors repeatedly questioned the practice. The 1888 inspection report for Llanymynech stated, "The maintenance of duplicate registers creates unnecessary administrative burden and suggests educational segregation where none exists." The children intermingle freely during recreation periods and often during lessons. The linguistic distinction appears arbitrary and may not reflect actual language use in the classroom. Davies responded in writing, "The registers reflect the linguistic reality of the borderlands. To abandon them would be to erase from official record the Welsh language maintenance occurring in these parishes." When future historians examine education in Wales, these registers will document which communities preserved Welsh language instruction longest. Administrative inconvenience is not sufficient reason to eliminate accurate historical documentation. He was correct. By 1900, most schools in Montgomeryshire had abandoned Welsh language instruction entirely. The separate Welsh registers disappeared as Welsh became a subject taught 1 hour per week rather than a language of instruction. But the border parishes, precisely because of their dual register system, maintained Welsh language education longer than communities further west. The administrative structure that seemed burdensome in 1882 became a protective mechanism for language preservation. The final entries in Llanymynech's Welsh register were recorded in 1902. 20 years of parallel record-keeping ended when the Board of Education mandated single register systems throughout Wales. Thomas Davies, now 61 years old, wrote the closing notation, "Welsh register discontinued per Board of Education directive. Students transferred to unified register. Total students classified as Welsh-speaking at time of consolidation, 17 of 94. The physical registers survive. They're held in the Shropshire Archives in Shrewsbury. 12 leather-bound volumes documenting every child who passed through Llanymynech School from 1875 to 1902, with parallel entries tracking the linguistic shift of an entire community. The handwriting changes. Davies was replaced by younger teachers who wrote faster, less carefully, but the record remains complete. Those registers document more than attendance. They document the moment when a bilingual border community made the collective decision, family by family, child by child, to prioritize English over Welsh. They document the administrative systems that tried to accommodate linguistic complexity before abandoning the effort. They document teachers like Thomas Davies who understood that separating children into registers wasn't segregation, but recognition. Acknowledgement that the children in their classrooms lived in two linguistic worlds simultaneously and deserved education that honored both. The practice never extended beyond the border parishes. Schools 20 miles into Wales kept single registers in Welsh. Schools 20 miles into England kept single registers in English. Only in the liminal space of the border, where identity itself was doubled, did the separate register system develop. It existed for 30 years, from approximately 1872 to 1902, and then it vanished, leaving only the physical ledgers, as evidence it had ever occurred. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Every single like tells YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from dusty archives every single day. Stories about communities navigating linguistic and cultural change through careful record-keeping. Real people, real choices. Drop a comment right now and tell us where you're watching from. Are you watching from Wales, from England, from other bilingual regions around the world? Our community stretches across the entire world. You're not just a viewer, you're part of keeping these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if your family experienced language shift. Just let us know you're here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making sure teachers like Thomas Davies don't disappear into silence. These educators deserve to be remembered, and you're helping make that happen.